Hi, I'm Henrik.
I'm Pasi.
And we are from Sonata Arctica.
Thank you so much for taking the time to do this interview. How are you guys doing today?
Yeah, good.
Yeah, good.
Really good, yeah.
Yeah, did you have fun during this?
Yeah, I mean we just arrived and dropped our bags to the hotel and came straight here. So it was a nice time to rest a little bit while the album was playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, was it fun for you to listen to it again? I presume you have listened to it many times though.
It's fun to see that people seems to enjoy
to
hear it, so that's the main reason. And
yeah, I think the album has been done already last summer. So we had a listening session in Germany, so we could see some reactions, and now here in Finland. So this is like the second time some outside people from our little group hear this album. So it was interesting. At least. Yeah.
In my previous interview with Toni, this was during the acoustic albums. He mentioned that. I mean, he seemed a little bit tired of the music you've been doing, which is kind of slow. Yeah. I was wondering what your sentiment is about, the previous records and creating something that's so different.
Well, I think, for example, the acoustic album thing was something we have discussed because we did a few tours. Acoustically, and of course people started asking when are the albums coming, and the original plan we came up with that we would go to LA to a friend of our studio and record it there. So we had the deal already negotiated with the label and everything was set up, but we were supposed to do this a bit later. Then of course the Corona stuff happened and we didn't really have anything reasonable to do. We couldn't play shows and we had to postpone a lot of shows, and so then we decided, okay, we're going to do it, but we couldn't go to LA for said reasons. So that is why we did it a bit earlier than originally planned. And of course when you do two albums with only acoustic, and then we did the tour was how many shows, maybe 50
or
something like
50
that, during 10 weeks. After that you're just like it's because this is a heavy metal band, and it's really fun to explore and do different things, but when you do it too much, at some point you go like, okay, can we please go back to doing what we're supposed to do? So maybe that's why he was a bit tired, but I think the acoustic stuff was I think it was really interesting. It was challenging,
definitely,
and making those albums was really important at that time, and now we're really happy to go in like the total opposite direction and do something else.
Yeah, I guess in a way you also, with the acoustic material, you also had to revisit your material, so did that in sense inspire to you as well to go back to your roots a little bit, this album?
That might be. I mean, Toni writes all the songs, so it's maybe more about what kind of mindset he is in, but of course when you play a lot of acoustic stuff and get as mellow as you can, then at some point there's going to be a response to that, and I think he responded very well.
So I think the first singles you released were First in Line and Monster on You Can See. So how have the fan reactions been towards that?
So far really good, as I know.
Especially for First in Line, people were like, and then of course some people were like, it's probably going to be the only fast song on the album. Well, it's not. So now you heard the album, so it's not that. But that is also, I think, a little bit of our own fault, because we have had albums that we had like one or two fast songs and then the rest have been something else. So I understand the sentiment that you think, okay, they're going to do it again, but this time we didn't. So
yeah, I also thought it was having First in Line as the first song of the record as well felt like kind of a statement, like we're doing this old school power metal again. Was there any thought in putting it as the first song?
Definitely. I mean, because we have been saying also that this album is power metal, so then we cannot start with the ballad,
So I noticed that for the production you went to Mikko Karmila this time.
Yep.
Was it intentional to choose him for that kind of old school feel?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, as he mixed all the earlier albums, so it was natural to come back.
Yeah.
And that was, I mean, we wanted specifically his sound.
Yeah. How would you sort of describe his sound?
That's hard, and if I say something, he's going to be pissed. But what we wanted to do basically to make sure that the sound is harsh enough and raw and has enough power, and we know he's really good at that. So that's what we chose to work with him again. And I mean, we've been friends for all these years, so it was felt only natural that since the music sounded like this, then we thought that he would be the guy that should mix it.
Yeah. Did you also follow like similar processes to back in the day, or is it all modernized now when it comes to production?
When we started to talk about mixing with him, of course we wanted to his mixing sound, but of course we didn't want to do anything that is back from the 20 years ago. That has to be album in 2033 that time.
So it was like we wanted his view on it, but of course they did to this day.
So it was somehow important to you as well that even though you have this old school feel to it, it's still like it does have a modern sound to it as well.
Yeah, somewhat. Yeah, of course. I mean, we're not like a retro band who try to sound like we're from the 70s or something like that. So
I thought that there was also a lot of like different dynamic moments in this album. Like I wrote down that the beginning of Angel Defiled felt like really loud when compared to the previous track, and I think you played a lot with dynamics and contrasts in this record. So was that also something you did intentionally with the track order and such?
I think we bounced around the track order quite a bit. Like usually, it's always the problem, and. But I think at least the beginning of the album was quite clear, even from Tony. He said like, this is how I wanted to start, and then we juggled around a few songs here and there. But I think dynamics has been a part of our music even from the beginning, and I think also like if you go full force all the time, then at some point it doesn't feel that powerful anymore. So for example, the beginning of Angel of Fine, put something softer before that, it feels more powerful. So it's intentional.
It almost felt like you wanted to say like, are you guys still awake or something?
Exactly.
It was a pretty cool moment. I also noticed that most of the songs are very uplifting, but if I listen to the lyrics, they're sometimes a bit like deep and sad. So I know you guys don't write the lyrics, but how do you usually feel about that extra contrast that Tony provides?
I think it's good, and it's like he always says in interviews that it's not about his life, so he can be sad and depressed in the lyrics, but he's kind of jolly kind of fellow most of the time. I think the contrast is really good, because when you go out and play on shows, you want things to be uplifting and have a good time, right? But there also has to be another level, when you listen to it, for example, at home, and you want to read the lyrics and get into deeper. I think it's good that there's that kind of level as well.
I also read that Dark Empath is a sequel to Don't Say a Word. What can you tell fans about that song specifically? It doesn't have to be lyrical, it can be about our instruments as well.
I mean, there's a lot of songs that are connected to that saga, either same kind of characters or same kind of plot with different kind of characters and everything, and there are so many songs involved already, and the plot is so confusing that I don't think Tony even knows himself what's going on anymore. But I think it's quite a massive song, like just sonically, there's a lot of stuff going on in that, and I think it's quite interesting. It's going to be a major part of the album, this song particularly. Okay. Let's put it that way.
Are you planning to play it live in combination with any of the other, parts of it? Are you ever going to do a show with only those songs?
We already did it.
But of course now when there's more songs and more.
More and more.
So we did it back in
6 years
2018. We did a winter tour in Finland where we played those, and we played also White Pearl Black Oceans 1 and 2, and personally I thought that I like the progressive stuff, and I thought that when we make this kind of show, maybe people are not going to show up. People seem to be really surprisingly into it, and it was really fun. So, but I think we're quite lucky to have really a lot of diverse material, so we can put together different kind of vibes. And of course now we're going for the punch. So it's going to be quite different. But I think maybe a few albums down the road when we have some more songs for the saga, then we can play it again.
We have a full set.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, you mentioned it. You like to play the progressive material, and I think this album has a lot of not proggy, but more progressive moments than them from the recent past. So, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's basically up to what kind of songs Tony brings to the table, and I think if you go back even from the first album, there are some progressive elements there. So it's always been there, and whether or not people are paying attention to it, it's more depending on how much we talk about it, So if we say this is just power metal, then nobody's going to notice, maybe. And then if we talk like this is our progressive album, then everybody's going to, oh, it's too prog, So a lot of those stuff go unnoticed unless you pay attention to it specifically. But yes, it has been there from the start, and I don't think that we ever going to become a band that plays just like straight songs, that everything is clear and not many layers and not any weird stuff going on.
Yeah, I think too.
There's always going to be some quirky things in there.
Now, considering that you've been playing slower songs for the past few years, and writing, I guess, and recording, was it difficult to go back to recording those power metal segments where you have to be really, really fast? Or does that
not at all.
No, not really.
After those acoustic years, it was quite easy.
Acoustic years. Yeah. I think actually I had to play faster on the acoustic stuff. I mean, because when we played Wolf and Raven live acoustic on an acoustic piano, it's quite a lot harder than actually playing it on a synthesizer because of the keys. So
you probably also don't know about why Tony specifically wrote lyrics about California, but I was wondering whether you have any memories connected to California that you want to share with fans.
Yeah, when was the last time we were there?
Actually, we took the road trip from LA to San Francisco. It was really great.
Yeah, Highway 1, right?
Yeah. Maybe.
yeah, I think that's what it's called. And it's funny you ask us that because it was to us. So we played a show in Seattle. We stayed there overnight, and instead of staying on the bus and driving down, we flew down to LA, met our friend whose studio was supposed to use for the acoustic album, and then he drove us up to San Francisco so we could drive the coastal highway and see a lot of stuff there. So I think that's the greatest memory from California, at least for me. We had a lot of fun on that trip.
Yeah, I mean that doesn't seem like you can do often on tour with all the flights and logistics and such. So, is that something that you really would like to do more, maybe in the future?
Yeah, I mean,
usually we try to do something on every tour, at least in the States. Yeah. If there is those longer drives and distances. So
for example, sometimes there's 2 days of driving ahead, and then maybe you want to fly somewhere else or whatever.
Or then you just stop somewhere where is something to see. Like we went to Elvis' house and
to Graceland,
Niagara Falls and stuff like this.
So it's usually, I mean, there's not too much time for sightseeing, but when you go to a place, a lot of times you see a little bit first time, something else the next time, and so on, and so over the years you have seen quite a lot at the end.
So going back to the album, I really like the opening section of Shamat, if that's what it's called.
Shamat,
and I thought it was cool because you were sort of combining, at least in my opinion, the new Sonata Arctica with the old one. So is there anything you can say about that song?
I try to remember which one it is.
There's a third one.
Actually, when we were listening it here now, and Elias was saying that, this reminds a little bit live from Ninth Hour.
Yeah, that's true.
So maybe that's true.
Yeah,
but Elias just said that
it
for me and Tony. So he noticed that too.
Yeah, I never thought about it that way.
Me neither.
Well, good that you're getting some new insights, I guess.
Yeah, of course, always.
Cold Beyond was a great way to end the album, and it also, towards the end, it became a little more hopeful.
Yeah.
Why did you also settle for that song as a title track, or is that something that Tony decided on?
That was Tony's idea, but I think that was not to mention from the basics.
Yeah. I mean, I think we never had the situation where we have a song and the album title being the same, right?
No, we don't have any.
Just wanted to make sure. Yeah.
And I think he didn't want to do it neither now, but then somehow it turned out.
Nobody came up with a better idea. And that's usually how we turn out. I mean, when we start with something and then anybody can suggest anything, but it has to be the best idea that wins. And this was good.
Yeah, but I think that the title is really good.
Yeah, I think it is the best idea, and that's how it should be. And I also like the song. I think it's very because most of the songs during the whole album, I mean, I think the song before that is also a little bit easier, but otherwise there are not really any ballads on the album. Yeah. So I think it makes sense to calm down. And also that song, I think it's a really beautiful song. Yeah. I think Tony wrote it really beautiful, and it's good to put it at the end, so it doesn't get in the way of all this.
It would be a little weird to have like a
in the middle,
power metal song at the end. So I think it's also a great ending. Are there any moments on this album that you're particularly proud of? Maybe like a difficult section or something like that.
I think many of those, but usually after the recording process and mixing process and mastering process, you are full of the album. So now it's been ready like 6 months or something.
Yeah, it was end of August.
Yeah.
It was ready,
So it was a couple of days ago. I finally got the opportunity to listen it as an outsider and just enjoy the music, not just listening what we did last summer.
Now, I can't remember really if you guys already have show dates planned, probably, but what are your next steps after this release in 2024?
We're gonna start touring like usually, and hope that we can continue touring like usually. So we're doing a Finnish tour first in March, and then we start with the festivals. We already have one festival, I think, in April and one in May, and then the whole festival touring starts, so to speak. So we're playing throughout the summer. Then we're doing Europe in the fall, and then after that there's some plans, but they're not public yet. But it's basically touring until at least summer of 2026, and the festivals then. And then we haven't really talked about anything beyond that yet. But I would imagine that if everything goes well, I'm gonna go back, do the next album, continue touring. Everything is as it should be, hopefully.
Yeah. I noticed with the previous tours, you also sort of you added a lot more older songs to the set list. I think this began like at Tuska maybe 2 years ago or something. I don't remember when you were last there.
Last year?
No, it was
the year before, or was there
22
the
or something. We had that replacing show.
It was one. Yeah, we got one. Yeah. Somebody cancelled, and we got really short notice.
Yeah.
22 it was.
Okay.
Maybe.
Any which way, yes. Yeah.
How has it been to sort of include these older songs that maybe you hadn't been playing for a while live in the set list and change things up a little in general?
Oh, it's fun. I mean, there's of course now we have. I think this is album number 11, 12? 11. So we have released like almost 150 songs. So there's plenty to choose from. So of course it's personally I think it's most interesting to play stuff that you haven't played. But that's usually there's usually a reason why you haven't played it also. So, but yeah, I think it's fun to bring back some of the older stuff, and it's also been in line with what we're doing now. So we of course want to bring songs into the set that works well with the new songs as well, and now we played already First in Line live last fall with Stratovarius when we were touring, and I think that was for us that was a thing that let's get together with Strato guys, let's play power metal again, and just to make sure that everybody understands that we are going this way now.
I guess when you first play a new single live, it's also a bit of a test to see how the audience reacts. So in terms of that, how was it if you paid attention to it?
I think
it was released the day before we started playing it or something.
It was surprisingly good. It's usually things when you play new songs where people don't know it that well, so it doesn't really matter if it's good or bad. Some people are going like, oh, what's going on, you know? And if you play Full Moon, everybody knows it, you know. So it's really, I think it's a bit dangerous to start comparing, because then you're never going to play anything new, you know. So, but I think people seem to like it and to get into it surprisingly fast. So I hope we're on the right way.
I actually remember it. It was in Umeå
at the festival.
Yeah. I can remember the exact moment when we started to play the song. And
the panic and the horror. When you go like,
Yeah. Does it take a lot of like practicing together to get a song like that, you know, to a stage?
Not so much actually. But that is only because we practice. You practice a lot at home first, so you're actually really sure about the song. And for us, we've been playing together now for. Actually, Tony said it, I think yesterday, that this is the longest Sonata been together with the same lineup. So we are used to playing together, and it's not really that difficult to bring new material as long as everybody has done their homework, which these days we do. So.
Well, you mentioned the longest lineup of Sonata Arctica. What is the secret to your, team, I guess, if there's any?
I don't know. Try to not piss your bandmates off too much, you know.
That's a good one.
No, I think it's very important that we all have the same level of commitment to what we're doing, and then also to have to accept that we are all really different and like different things, and that's fine, and that just of course we're not kids anymore, so we learn to live and get along and take it a little bit easy every once in a while.
Yeah, well, that's it for my questions. Do you have any last thoughts you want to share with your fans?
Check it out, it's gonna be great.